students forced to own up to genocide before gender studies class, conservative launches legal battle against silencing school, and tuition prices go sky high once again. I'm Wyatt Eichholz, and you're watching Campus Countdown. For the number 3 story of the week, we visit our neighbors to the north where students must acknowledge benefiting from genocide to take classes. Students taking online classes from George Brown College in Toronto, Canada, are now required to affirmatively acknowledge that they are beneficiaries of genocide against Indigenous peoples, and that the school they virtually attend sits on colonized land, Campus Reform reported last week. The full statement reads in its entirety, "We acknowledge this sacred land on which George Brown College operates. As settlers or the displanted, we benefit from the colonization and genocide of the Indigenous peoples of this land. In order to engage in resistance and solidarity against the past and present injustices inflicted on Indigenous peoples of this land, it is imperative that we constantly engage in acts of awareness and decolonization." Now, this isn't just some wacky orientation slide. Without clicking agree to this statement, students are unable to access their online courses. The school explains their reasoning behind this. "Our intention is not to impose agreeance," the web form says, "but to inform through acknowledgement. This acknowledgement is to generate awareness and to offer opportunities for personal reflection." As it turns out, GBC has similar land acknowledgements on its website, email signatures, and presentation slides. It even requires that these statements be read before the national anthem at speaking events. And it is worth noting that even though they make such overtures, schools with land acknowledgements such as GBC have yet to dismantle their own institutions and turn the land back over to Indigenous communities. For story number 2, let's turn to Campus Reform correspondent Eileen Doolin.
A graduate student at Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville by the name of Maggie Dijon received 3 no-contact orders at the early start of the spring semester for supposedly offending a student with Christian rhetoric. These no-contact orders prevented Dijon from any activity on or off campus where she might come into contact with her accuser. Now, Campus Reform reported this past spring that the controversy stemmed from multiple accusations of Dijon using microaggressions in conversations with other students. How is this information gathered? Well, the art theory program director by the name of Megan Robb emailed 30 students in order to investigate Dijon's misconduct and oppressive acts. Some of Dijon's text exchange were even supposedly featured in an art project displayed at the university called Crushing Weight of Microaggressions. Dijon told Campus Reform that while she had recognized the disconnect from the value of the school's art theory program, she was still shocked to receive these orders. In February, the Alliance Defending Freedom filed a lawsuit against the university. Dijon's lawyer, Greg Walters, told Campus Reform that they, quote, discriminated against her speech and they threatened her future speech, end quote. While the no-contact orders were revoked in March, the damage has already been done since, according to the Alliance Defending Freedom, the university violated Dijon's First Amendment rights as they stated in a press release that, quote, the university issued the no-contact orders without giving Dijon the chance to defend herself, without telling her of the allegations against her, and without identifying any policy or rule that Dijon violated. Even though the lawsuit has been served, Dijon's lawyer, Greg Walters, said that it could be months before they are able to move forward. However, the university's director of media relations told Campus Reform that the university has not yet been served and, quote, has no comment on pending litigation, end quote. Back to you, Wyatt.
Thanks, Eileen. It's time for Campus Countdown's number 1 story. 27 out of the top 30 universities are increasing tuition again after COVID-era rate hikes. If you think gas prices are going crazy, just wait till you see the number on your student bill when you get to campus next fall. Out of the top 30 colleges and universities in the United States, 27 of them are raising tuition this year, and all of them have increased tuition at least once since the outbreak of COVID-19. Vanderbilt was the worst offender, increasing tuition by 11.64%, up to $58,130 for the upcoming school year, compared to tuition prices just 3 years ago. These price hikes come after almost every school went remote and transitioned to virtual learning during the pandemic, all the while collectively receiving billions in federal aid. Most students saw their tuition costs rise by 2 to 4%, although the University of Southern California clocked in at a staggering 6.96% increase. On the other hand, Harvard and Duke stand out for decreasing costs, while the University of Michigan held rates constant. The University of Virginia decreased tuition in-state, but paired it with out-of-state price hikes. Scholars attribute the tuition inflation to a variety of sources, including irresponsible federal aid, lack of market competition in the education sector, and bloated university administrations. Rising tuition prices are nothing new. Historically, tuition prices have exploded, increasing over the past 20 years by 144% when talking about private schools, and 211% for in-state public tuition. In comparison to that, I guess these gas prices don't seem that bad. Now before we wrap things up, let's check in on our woke tweet for the week. From Good Morning America at GMA, exclusive, trans people don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic and our true selves. Transgender swimmer Leah Thomas speaks out to Juju Chang ABC about backlash and future plans to compete. That's right. In his first public appearance, transgender swimmer on the UPenn women's team, Leah Thomas, asserted that he enjoys no competitive advantage against female swimmers, accusing those who would say otherwise of being biased against transgender individuals. Thomas argued that his hormone replacement therapy has made him weaker and slower in the water. However, as Campus Reform reports, physiologists and doctors observe that Thomas still possesses a distinct physical edge over his female competitors. Even transgender Olympian Caitlyn Jenner has stated that he retains still a natural advantage over biological females. As a reminder, Thomas went from being ranked number 462 against men to number 1 against women. Still, Thomas maintains that some other X factor must be responsible for his staggering success. There's a lot of factors that go into a race and how well you do, Thomas said. The biggest change for me is that I'm happy. Other girls in the pool are less happy. Riley Gaines, a swimmer from the University of Kentucky, has made it her mission to keep the conversation about protecting women's sports alive in the off-season. Even the other swimmers at UPenn are speaking out, with one girl appearing anonymously in Matt Walsh's new documentary, What is a Woman?, to discuss the team's concerns about having a male in the locker room. Back in March, 16 members of the women's team penned an anonymous letter to Ivy League officials that requested Thomas be barred from competing at the conference championship. That's it for this week's edition of Campus Countdown. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. To stay up to date on more leftist bias, follow Campus Reform on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Campus Reform. I'm Wyatt Eichholz. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check in next week to Campus Countdown.